What's going on, guys? It's Mark with Limo Marketer. I'm joined here by Zachary Wellman from Secure Transport out of Salt Lake City. Thanks for joining me today, Zachary.
Hey, it's a pleasure to be here, Mark, with you.
Yeah. So Zachary, I wanted to have him on because I think he has kind of a cool story. He contacted me a few days ago. He was a former client, and I think he stopped his marketing around April or so. Is that right?
That's about right.
About right. Yeah. And so he's starting up again with us. And I thought it'd be cool just to get his perspective on kind of why he's starting back up, kind of what his experience has been like, and really just more about him, how he got in the industry and kind of his story. So let's start with that. How did you find yourself in this industry?
Well, I was working at a car rental place, and there was an ad to be a chauffeur for a really large company here in Salt Lake City that's no longer in business. But so I started running Limo and really liking being a chauffeur. Dabbled in Uber and Lyft for a little bit, and really liked being an owner operator. So I had deployed in 18 to 19. I deployed and came back to Salt Lake. I had a good friend who offered me a position within his company to help market with him. I really liked it. We split ways, and I formed my own company. I've owned Secure Transport for about 2 years now, and I realized that there was more, that just putting a logo on a car and driving in Salt Lake. There's more to marketing. So I turned to Mark, and that's how I met Mark, was on Facebook. And I really kind of liked his style and decided that I would market with him.
Awesome. And so before that, so it sounds like you started your own business, I guess, right as we were starting to come out of COVID. Is that?
Yes. Yep. I had just barely started the business. I was still on the active duty side of the Army, and started it was the Army National Guard, I should say. So I was local here to Salt Lake City.
Okay.
And running the company, and then COVID hit, and it was a lot more difficult to run the company than what we imagined, because a lot of our income revenue from the Sundance Film Festival kind of dried up there.
Oh, shoot. And so
Yeah.
you had a partner, and
Mhm.
then you guys split ways. And
Yep.
did you start with just an SUV, was it?
Yep. I just started with one SUV, 2018 Suburban at the time. That was the newest Suburban on the market, or well, a newer model Suburban.
Sure.
Since then, we've actually grown to a 14 passenger van, and then we just picked up the newer Escalade. So we're
Nice.
we're still doing good, but we recognize that we could be doing better.
Yeah. And so prior to us meeting, which I believe was it the fall of last year that we started together?
Yep, right close to that time. Yep, we
Okay.
started right before the winter time.
Got
We had
it.
a really profitable winter time. We had a lot of really good leads that came into the company, and we were seeing a lot of business being brought into our company. So it was, when the feast is good, you're happy with your marketing company, and you're ecstatic, and you're happy with everything that is happening. And then when it started to dry up, I thought, man, there's got to be a better place to go. So I had a pretty good conversation with Mark, with you, and we agreed that the marketing kind of dried up. And why would I pay money when there was no leads coming in? So
Sure.
we kind of had a pretty amicable.
Greatly reduced, right?
Yeah,
Sorry to
greatly reduced.
interrupt.
Yeah.
Greatly reduced.
Yep.
And just want to insert this. And was I the first marketing
Yes.
business you worked with?
Yep. You were the very first. You were the one that we first saw results with, and saw really kind of open our eyes to the benefit of what marketing can do for a small company.
Yeah,
Where we don't have a large voice in the industry. So we need to grab every customer we can. And, that's kind of the secret to us being viable as a smaller company, is having good leads and marketing is really important to us.
totally. And so like you were saying, and I remember this well because it's always frustrating when you start working with a company, they're killing it. And then no matter what we did, it seemed like he was getting less leads and paying more for those leads.
Yes.
Now, this was in, I believe, starting late March, early April. And
Yes.
so, what I've learned over doing this for 7 years is there's certain markets that it can be very tough certain times of the year. Salt Lake City, like Denver, is a somewhat seasonal market.
Yes.
I do have companies that run ads all year long in those markets. Generally, they have a wider variety of vehicles. At the time, you had the two SUVs and the
Just had
Sprinter, or one
just
SUV,
one
one Sprinter.
SUV, and I think we brought the Sprinter on right at the end,
Okay, okay,
right
and
around
so that
December. We brought the
okay, so yeah, and that's a decent nut. And look, at the end of the day, if you're not bringing in enough money, marketing should make you money. It shouldn't be an expense. And so I agreed with him, and that's why it was an amicable breakup because I said, look, I get it. I would do the same thing in your shoes. So there was no hard feelings.
no, not at all.
And so, what did you do then for marketing?
So I went to another on the Limo pages. I saw a guy that had claimed that it was that they were really good and they were probably the best in the industry. So I kind of listened to him, and we went with the other company, and there really wasn't any marketing at all. Like we really didn't get any leads off the pay per click. We were just paying a lot more. They were running our SEO and our Facebook page at the time, and it
So
just
they're doing
didn't
all of
work
it:
out.
PPC,
Yep.
SEO, and
Hmm.
Facebook page.
Yeah. So
And so,
we left you guys, and we actually ended up paying a lot more and didn't see nearly what we saw with marketing that you did. Like, there is a difference in marketing. With you, your leads were local and not in other places of the country. So we were getting localized leads with you. So it was pretty dialed into our market, even though you haven't spent a lot of time in Salt Lake. So, for somebody to know our market that well and do perform well, there was a lot of research that went in with you. The other company, it was a night and day difference. So we ended up leaving that company after spending a considerable amount, a lot more money. And the current company that we just are leaving the marketing is we've just got nonstop calls for California, for every other company other than ours. And there's just no conversion. You can't convert somebody who's calling for a taxi in California to Utah. So
yeah.
so another $2,000 or $3,000 more. So what I'm getting at is it's the quality of the marketing that is why we decided to go back to March, because we didn't see any of the other companies. We didn't see that value that we're spending more money than we're spending with Mark and getting less. And there's nothing like getting a call in the middle of the night and knowing you're paying for that call for California.
Yeah, we were talking about that.
Yeah,
That is the
it,
most painful thing. I get
it's
it.
painful.
Yeah, because look, and we're not perfect. We still have our clients that do sometimes once in a while get leads out of the area, and they'll
Oh
let
yeah,
us know right away. And yeah, it's painful to get a call that, because you have to put in the work, you have to answer, you have to try to be friendly. You don't want them to leave a bad review, but
yes,
you're paying for that call and you can't service them.
yes.
Um,
And when
so
you're
just
getting multiple calls from, like 10, 15 calls a day for California, or you're getting 10 or 15 calls for local bus service that's here in Salt Lake, or people calling about the airport, it's just in the back of your mind. It's like this advertising isn't working, you know.
now you now was that two different companies you
Yes,
jumped
we
to?
tried
Oh,
two
wow. Okay.
different companies. Yeah, we were just on this quest. Everybody in the industry said that they could do it the best, and I really had, working with you, Mark. You set a you set a you set a trend that not a lot of other companies were able to mirror. They tried, but going to those companies, I had the same expectations of what I would have had when I first started with you. So in
Yeah.
the back of my mind, and my wife screaming at me like, "Why don't we go back to this guy that we were killing it and we were doing good?"
Yeah.
And why would I not go back to something that produced results in our market, which is hard to do because we have a lot of big companies here, a lot of good companies here that pay a ton more in marketing. And I feel that, you know, paying what we're paying now with Smart, we're on that same level with the larger companies to a point. You
Yeah.
know, getting good leads that are resulting in, you know, putting people in vehicles, and that's what we want to do.
Yeah. So I'll say two things. Number one, you are in a seasonal market. What I have found is the best time of year, because I don't want to, like, even though you didn't name names, I don't like, I just want to let everyone know. So I'm being fair. The winter is the best time in Salt Lake
Yes,
City, right? So
absolutely.
he started in the fall. I did
Mhm.
it through the winter. And so that is, you were getting leads that were all for what you offered, where you offered it. That was
Yeah,
the most important thing, right? That's, I
yes,
guess, the main difference is, even if I couldn't get you leads, that many leads, at least they would be for where
localized.
you are. Exactly. One other
Yes,
thing is, you mentioned, so, and I see this all the time with marketing agencies. It's like you're going to a doctor, right? And the doctor prescribes what he thinks your business needs. And one of the things I discuss with operators that come to me is, okay, where are they at the stage of their business? Have they just started? How many vehicles do they have? Like, what's approximately their monthly revenue?
right,
And the reason I ask these questions is SEO, I think, is a great long-term ROI, but I also know that for companies that have less than 5 vehicles, they're probably not doing more than $30,000-$40,000 a month unless they're farming out a lot of work. And
right,
SEO is one of those things you're investing in for a long time before you see the payoff. Also, Facebook. I think Facebook can work if it's done right, but spreading your money around between PPC, SEO, Facebook ads, what I recommend is dial something in, get it working, get it profitable, then try another platform. Don't try to do
yes,
everything at once just because you can. And I'm not saying these companies are doing it just because they can charge more. Maybe some of them do think it's best to just do a little bit of everything. My thought is, find something that works, double down on it, put as much money into it as you can. And then, once you're tapped out of that, then go to another channel, right? Like Facebook ads, like
yes.
SEO. And
Yep, and that's
so
what we're learning. We kind of had to learn it the hard way, like
it,
we had to learn, but I think coming back, it gave me perspective of, because the one thing we do really like is, although you offer your services, you also have a lot of information that you send out that, at first we all kind of overlooked it, like, we're doing really good, but, going back now and looking at some of your past things that you recommend, had we done that, we probably would be doing a lot better now, because you have a lot of good information out there. And, it's just rare to see in this industry. Everybody tries to clone you, Mark, but I think that, you have a lot of time, you've spent a lot of time researching it. And that's kind of what we value, is that you spent the time to do it, and you're doing something better, because I'm seeing a pretty good return when we use you.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that. It's funny. I was just talking to one of our PPC managers here, and we were talking about, at the end of the day, any business is about the product or service you offer, right? At the end of the day, the best marketing is customer results,
Yeah.
customer happiness, like you guys, right? You'll get referrals if you do a really fantastic job and people really enjoyed your service, every part of your service, right?
Yes.
And and that's all I've done with this business, make it a little better, a little better, a little better, like with the Google Ads thing. But at a certain point, it's like there's not much more we can squeeze out. Like, we don't think we can do much better with Google Ads. And so it's like, well, what else can we help out with? And now what we're trying to do is, I've hired, like a sales consultant to come in, and we're going to hopefully start creating some better basic sales training. Nothing crazy, but just some scripts for operators to use. Of course, we use the CRM High Level for all of our clients. That does like the automated follow-ups and things like that. Um, Other
Yes.
marketing stuff. Just question, can you think of any examples? As far as you said, I would like send out information. Do you mean like sales related, or was that like regarding how to get more out of High Level? Or
So, when we left you in March, we still got your monthly email, and we got your links to your YouTube page. And
oh,
that's
okay, right on.
information that so, to me, it was a testimonial that even though we left you, you're still willing to put this information out freely to anybody who wants to know this information. You're not just saying, hey, only my current customers. So for me to keep seeing all these emails and saying, hey, you know what? Maybe this guy does understand more than I gave him credit for at the time, and seeing a lot of your informational stuff kind of also helped tell me that, hey, you know what? We're not only are we getting results, but you legitimately want to see us succeed and give us every tool that we can. And the one thing I tell any operator is that you can't just use Google alone. There's a lot of other there's all that information that you're putting out, and that information is something that if you apply it and you use it, it will actually make you a better operator. So all of that together really helped out a lot.
Totally. No, I appreciate that. I've been trying to, yeah, improve the
I mean,
YouTube
there's not a
because,
lot of people in the industry that doing what you're doing that put out that much information. And
yeah,
it's a lot of good information that I would tell any operator that's starting new with you or been with you for a while. Just go look at all your old YouTube videos, look at all the information, and it will help you be a better operator.
wow.
So,
Hey, wow. What a compliment. Thanks so much,
yeah,
Zachary. And yeah, look, it helps me too because an educated client I prefer talking to because a
it's,
lot of times I spend just a lot of time one on one with basic education. But if they've watched some videos, they have a better understanding and they can make better decisions.
it helps a lot.
Yeah. And
So,
then the last thing I'll say is you said you learned the hard way, but I will say this. I'm glad you did what you did because I suggest anyone um, try out a few different agencies. You need to see what's out there. And look, I've had clients that have left that haven't came back. I'm not saying everyone comes back. Fortunately, quite a few do come back. But whenever someone tells me, "Oh, you're my first marketing agency," it kind of sucks for me in a way because I like it if they've tried a few out because then they have something to compare with. Because for a lot of people that just start, that some campaigns just kill it right off the bat, and they're like, "Oh, these results are crazy," and they're like, "Dude, what? This is my first
yeah,
marketing agency. I'm getting these great results. Like, maybe there's even better. Like, and
yeah.
so you gotta see what's out there." So
Perspective definitely, for me, I gained a lot of perspective and I learned a lot about Google Ads and AdWords, negative ad. I mean, there's just so much that goes into it. It's like you can learn as much as possible, but in the end, it's nice to have somebody kind of help you guide you through that journey. And for you, it was nice to be able to come back and be able to, you'd be able to say, hey, welcome back, not like, hey, you're the jerk that left, so it's nice that you can look at our perspective and we can look at your perspective and then look at all the other perspectives out there and realize how good we had it before we left.
yeah. Well, also when you left, you were very open, honest. I
Yes.
saw your account. I saw what was going on. I completely understood. I told
Mhm.
you I would likely do the same exact thing you were doing. You needed to test out other agencies.
Yes.
And yeah, when it ends amicably, and even, I've got clients that leave, they run into financial difficulties or something else comes up and they leave. And look, as long as they're open and, respond, hey, sorry, I don't have the money this month to make the payment, then, we can always work something out. Um,
Yes.
it's always nice when you do get that feedback that at least letting hey, this is what's going on, not just, they disappear, they fall off the face of the earth, which
It's
that happens at times. But
definitely two-way communication, I think, has been the most benefit for me and for you. And you're able to, and I do like that when I need to get a hold of somebody, usually after hours, you're usually the first, or Mark is really good about getting back pretty quickly. That's something that I also experienced, that not everybody's as good at getting back and communicating as you are, you
yeah,
know.
no,
So
I
it,
appreciate that.
it's definitely good. I mean, when you have an agency that doesn't get back to you to 2 to 3 days, and you're like, man, I'm paying them more than I paid everybody else, and I'm not getting the same level of service. It just becomes, you know, it becomes more apparent that you're doing, obviously doing something that not a lot of the other, everybody else is trying to emulate and try to do what you're doing. And, you've definitely got it dialed down where not everybody else has that same knowledge to help out the customer.
Yeah. Well, I always say this, for most of our clients, we're running ads 7 days a week. It's not like we do HVAC, which, I have some friends who own agencies where it's kind of a Monday through Friday deal. But my clients run ads, most of them 365 days a year. And so
Yeah.
I kind of feel as if there's any sort of like situation where something's not working and they need to send out a quote, we need to be on top of that. If it's like a Sunday and they just have a question, many times we'll wait to get back to them on Monday. But I'm always, as after
And
hours, I'm always checking it because if something bad happens, we need to be on top of it because I know, like you said, I'm sure you valued that a lot. And especially when compared to working with other companies that maybe weren't as responsive, it kind of shines a light on these things.
I mean, it definitely does separate, it definitely separates, good companies from companies that they just don't understand Google Market and they don't understand customer service. And I think with you, it ties it all together and you've got it down to where you understand the needs of the industry and you understand it well enough that you're able to respond. And that, for Saturday, Sunday, there's an option that you do have that, hey, if you have an emergency, call this number. So
Yes.
and that just puts it into perspective of, hey, is this really an emergency? No, I can wait till Monday. Mark probably needs a day off just as much as we need a day off. So
Yeah.
we really
Well,
appreciate that.
yeah, no, of course. Well, early when I first started this, I was always around the clock anytime. At a certain point, I started realizing, there's some inquiries that are just a general question. And so now I'm a little more, if it's like that, I'll get back on Monday. But if a client can't get into their high level account, then okay, that's an emergency, right? So,
Yes. Yep.
so we need to get them in there. And so cool, man. Thanks so much for doing this. We're going to get you up and running today.
Yep. I'm excited to be back and back doing this again. So with
Cool.
you.
Thanks so much for doing this, Zachary. I appreciate
Yep.
having you on.
I appreciate your time and taking the time to help us understand the industry better. So
Of
thank you.
course. You're welcome.